This is the Paws Up podcast, episode 13. We are probably with our biggest guest we've had on the show, Jake. First of all, how are you? How are we feeling? We have a very, very action-packed episode today.
It's, I just love the fact that, again, a relatively new podcast we're doing here. Again, we can't thank enough all the viewers that are watching this on our Twitter, on Lemon City Live Facebook, on Lemon City Live YouTube. It's always awesome to see the guests we're able to bring into the show as it gets progressively bigger and bigger. And it's Billy Gil, everybody. Dude, it's Billy.
You had the head football coach and athletic director. Those are bigger guests than me.
Dude, we want guests from all walks of life. See? We got coaches. We got our first athlete. More on that later. It's awesome. Well, welcome to the show, Billy. We're glad to have you on.
What athlete did you get?
Oh, I think I'm looking right at them.
Me? Right talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, is pole vaulting not a sport?
It is. I mean, I don't think that you would consider that like an athlete get,
I mean, it counts, and I think we got to start with the main question, Billy. Why did you originally choose to go to FIU?
I don't know. I mean, I liked it. I'm from down here. It's right by where I was growing up. I don't know. I always thought I'd kind of end up there, and I liked it. I liked FIU. Is that a bad answer? Why did you guys choose FIU?
I'm an incoming student. He already graduated.
Oh yeah, he's in. I basically forced it. I basically forced him. You better be going here. Basically, I said, Kevin, you better be going here if you're going to cover FIU. Yeah.
Wait, have you not started yet?
I haven't. I have not. Jake has started.
He's what? You're only a few days from graduating high school.
3 months, yeah.
Oh,
wow. Then I'll start right away.
Anyway, I thought you graduated last year.
Jake did, not me.
Yeah, I'm class of 2022.
No, I mean, I thought you graduated high school last year. You started FIU this year. Look at his passion.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
Ken's a busy guy, man. It's not just high school. He's doing everything. You have fish stripes. You have Lemon City. It's awesome.
Where do you find the time, Kevin? How do you do all of this? Teach me to manage my time better.
I don't know, dude. It's just me just crunching it up, just sitting down whenever I get the chance and pray that it all works out.
Teaching us a thing or two, Billy.
I'm worried about you, Kevin. I feel like you need to kind of, lay back a little, enjoy life. Don't take it too seriously. Try to, because these years are so formative and they're gonna go by so fast, And sure, you get to talk to me and Jake tonight, but one day maybe you'll think, what could I have been doing on that Tuesday night instead of talking to Billy and Jake? And I don't want to be part of your regrets moving forward.
You definitely aren't. I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
All right. So you got to experience, I know, a lot of great memories at FIU. One of them being pole vaulting, and I just want to know, what would you say were some of your best memories at FIU when you were a student there?
Some of my best memories. What I always liked? I always and I never did it because I wasn't in the class. I always liked the walk on water thing that they do, like once a year or once a semester by the library, where they have to build the devices that they cross the lake. And I actually I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's those city edition Starbucks cups that they have. If you go to a different city, in the country, it's just Phoenix or New York or whatever, and they have the mugs. So I found one the other day at Target on Flagler, by FIU, and it was an FIU mug, which isn't a city, but it was an FIU mug, and on it had the little people trying to walk on the water. Kevin, you're gonna see this when you go to FIU if you go to the main campus. Even though I feel like you're gonna be doing journalism stuff, so you'll probably be spending a lot of time at Biscayne Bay, which shout out to Biscayne Bay, but it's very far. Well, I don't know where you live. It could be close to you. But it's far from the main campus. Yeah, it's far from the main campus, but you're gonna miss things like the walk on water. Jake, do you even know what I'm talking about or not?
Yes. I look. I graduated with a degree in broadcast media communications. My freshman and sophomore, I was at MMC. Junior and senior, I had to go to Biscayne maybe 3-4 times a week. Thankfully, there's a bus that takes you there, right? But I always got unlucky with walk on water because every single time they were doing it, I had a class across the campus or at Biscayne.
So you never saw it?
Sometimes they've live streamed it, and I watched it that way. But yeah, it's a super cool, underrated event at FIU, and I didn't go to it, but I saw it. I can preach. Yeah, it's cool. So this is crazy, Billy. You're the first FIU athlete we've had on the show. You were a pole vaulter for pretty much most of the time.
Lord.
At FIU. Talk to us about that. What was it like? And
how,
what did you take away?
I was a walk-on pole vaulter. It was fun, but at a certain time, they then decided to build a football stadium over the track, and I was injured and recovering from an injury, and I had to kind of look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, "Are you going to be an Olympic pole vaulter?" And I realized, no, I will not. So at a certain point, when there was no track and we had to travel to do track activities and practices every day, and I was recovering from an injury and I was working part-time, I had to give up track, unfortunately. But I like track. I like pole vaulting. It was fun. I get to say I was a Division I athlete, even though no one asked me to be. I just kind of walked on and they couldn't get rid of me. And then I have like a picture like that will live forever. So I can tell my daughter one day, hey, your father was a great athlete, and she won't know the difference. She won't know that I was not, that I was just kind of mediocre at best.
You just got to show her like those type of pictures. And
exactly right. Yeah. I mean, nobody knows the difference. They just look like, wow, that looks really high. That's really good. Exactly. And now I can tell my daughter I was the first athlete on Paws Up. So there you go.
I thought it was going to be T.Y. Hilton, but this is
what happened with that? Why haven't you tried to get T.Y. Hilton?
He's a busy guy, all right. I mean, not really as much now because the season's over and everything. Ty, if you're somehow watching this, hit me up, dude. We want to have you on.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, Jake, but I don't think T.Y. Hilton's watching this right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, look. Maybe he's just low key a follower. I guarantee you, he has come back to campus for events and whatnot. He loves this university. I know you love this university. Yeah, and I love this university as well. I know Kevin's going to love it.
Well, let's think about what actual athletes you could get on this podcast that used to be FIU, like the FIU alum that would join this. So I'm trying to think of who goes to games still. Like I feel like Jonathan Cyprian is at a bunch of games. You could probably get him. Raja Bell's been at
Raja Bell, Carlos Arroyo. They frequent FIU basketball games quite a bit.
Okay.
You have I was missing Mike Lowell.
Yeah, Mike Lowell. Have you tried Mike Lowell?
Dude,
we haven't, but I think that I can maybe pull a couple strings with the Marlins.
He is wearing the Marlins jersey
I am wearing the Marlins jersey, Billy.
Yeah. There you go. Wait, who is that? Is that Dontre Willis?
That's Miggy Cabrera.
Oh, okay.
03.
I like it.
And I'm rocking the GOAT, the Dolphins GOAT.
Dan Marino.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right. This is an athletics podcast after all. So what can you tell us about FIU athletics back in the day versus what you've seen from FIU athletics now? Like, how often did you attend other games? And, what was the go-to team on campus at that time?
So at the time, the year that I did track, they just hired Mario Cristobal, towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So football was up and coming at the time, but it was like the rough years at the beginning where I think they lost every game for 2 seasons straight, except the actual last game at the Orange Bowl, which everybody will say lost to Virginia, which wasn't the case because that year FIU was playing their home games because they were building their stadium. FIU played its home games at the Orange Bowl, and FIU snapped I want to say a 22-game losing streak or something. The last game of the season. Yeah, it was rough times then. But soccer was always good. Baseball's been good.
Still damn good now. It's probably the best sport FIU has to offer.
Well, I think swimming and diving is good, right?
Yes,
I think that tennis has been good. Softball has been good. FIU has a lot of good teams. It's just, I think it's just kind of everybody focuses on the major, football, basketball, to an extent, baseball. But there's a lot of good teams.
What was the campus atmosphere like back in the day?
The campus is crazy now compared to like how it was then, just like size wise. There's so many buildings there that I don't know what they are that didn't exist when I was there. Like it's grown tremendously since I was there. Towards the end, I mean, I was there like the crazy football years when TY was there and they had when like the cage was sold out. Like that was crazy. I remember the game that FIU had against UCF that the cage was like full, and it felt like when this game is done, whoever wins is going to be ranked. And what ended up happening was FIU wins. I think headed into the half, it was a tight game. Headed into the half, they had like a fumble recovery or something. They ran back for a touchdown. The place was going crazy. And then at the end, I really thought FIU would be ranked, and they ended up being like in others receiving votes, which was still really cool because they'd never been ranked. But that was awesome. And honestly, I thought that this year, the games that I went to, the football games that I went to, the student section was pretty packed compared to what it's been like the past couple of years. Like I feel like the student support is getting back to what it was at that time. So like hopefully things continue to move in that direction and they start filling out the cage a little more and students keep going and realize that it's a fun time if you go to the games.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And the team looks pretty good. I'll tell you that. From what we've seen, the recruiting, it looks all right. So let's hope
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think how we all are until the season actually starts. And I've learned that as a Marlins reporter / fan that we know how that works. But
how do you feel about the Marlins this year, Kevin? It's been a rough.
I was going to ask you towards the end, but dude, it's tough. I mean, today's game was really bad.
I didn't see the score today. What was today? Oh, well, was today that? No, yesterday was the day that they played in the Trop, right? And it was Sandy's last start.
Yesterday was So yesterday was Sandy. He shoved, and then after that,
why did they play in the Trop for that game?
So with Tampa, the hurricane kind of ruined their facility, so they're playing at the Trop.
All of their games there.
Yeah, they're all right. I mean, they made some good additions. I like the offense, how it's looking. The pitching, you sacrificed Pablo for an inning eater, and Johnny Cueto basically is what he is. But let's hope they at least win 75, 80 games. I think that's the real expectation. Obviously, I mean, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but if they could be kind of what the Brewers were last year, is what I've been saying. If they could be what the Brewers were last year, you feel pretty good, especially with Skip, our first-year manager. It's pretty impressive. But
have you met Skip yet? Have you talked to Skip?
I've met Skip. He's a cool guy. I mean, nothing crazy yet. I think it's just once you get to know him is when
just look how the Marlins have taken over this show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I completely do.
No, I love talking Marlins.
I'm sorry.
If this was a Marlins podcast, I would love it. But Billy, I wanted to ask you, right after you graduated from FIU, what did you do? Because you obviously are now with the LeBatard show, but I assume that was a couple years after.
So I actually started interning in 2010. I was interning because I knew, I ended up graduating in 2012 with like 180 credits. Like I took so many extra classes that I didn't need to take. So in 2010, I started like, I need to get this together. I need to start interning, sending out my resume. So I sent out like emails, like asking everyone that I could think around town in any like media department that I could think of, right? Like I was sending to Power 96. I was sending to like every AM radio station, every TV station, everywhere, just to kind of try to get a foot in the door. So 2010, I started interning at 790 The Ticket, RIP, and I started interning at the same time at CBS 4 in Miami. So like I was interning at their sports department 3 days a week, and then I was interning at 790 The Ticket 2 or 3 days a week also. And at the time I started at George Sedano's show. So I was doing like morning, I was up really early. And then every day that I wasn't there, I was at Channel 4. And I was just going back and forth interning. And I actually liked TV more than radio, right? So I realized at the end, like I'm going to like, I'm getting really thin here. Like I can't do all of this for another semester because I was working part-time. I was doing school full-time. So I was going to have to choose one or the other. And then the TV station told us like, hey, the semester's over. We're getting new interns. And I was like, okay, well, that decision was made. So like by that time I had been working on Sedano for a couple months, and then I switched off. I was doing Sedano one day, LeBatard another day. And then I eventually had my school schedule like made it so I could only do like afternoons because I couldn't do the morning show anymore. So I was doing LeBatard 2 times a week, and then I think like 3 times a week. And then since 2010, I was interning on that show. Then 2012, I was graduating, so I went and got an internship in Washington D.C. For Highly Questionable, and then that was like a summer internship that came to an end. Someone left the LeBatard show. They had an opening. They offered me a job. So I've been there since 2012. So like timing wise, things worked out for me. Like really, I was really fortunate.
Yeah.
Like timing wise, that things
Yeah.
lined up the way that they did. But yeah, so I've been a part of the LeBatard show for 13 years now. Even though like I didn't talk or do anything until probably like 2012, 2013. It was just like little things here and there. So
Yeah.
I've been there for a while.
So how did that opportunity arise for the LeBatard show?
So Hawk was the old EP, and he left because he got a morning show that he was going to do. So then they moved up Mike to be the executive producer, and then they needed a role like production wise, and I was an intern. And for whatever reason, they reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested. And it was like, I'm telling you, the timing was crazy because I was in Washington D.C. And at the time, it was my girlfriend, who's now my wife. It was for a summer. She went up there and she's like, "Oh, I'll go to Washington for the summer." And she was there with me, and I'm like realizing like this is ending soon. Like we have to go back. Like you have to go back to school. My internship ends at the end of the summer. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like kicking myself because at the time I actually turned down, and it worked out. I turned down an overnight board op job at the radio station, but I knew that I had this internship. So it was like, do I take this overnight job board opping and give up on this opportunity to intern for an ESPN show, which at the time I was like, I'm never going to work for ESPN. I grew up obviously like everyone who's a sports fan. Like I loved ESPN. I was like, oh my God, ESPN, like that's the biggest thing ever. Right. Yeah. So I was like, I will never work for them. Like being an intern on this show is the closest I'll ever get. Like I have to take it. So I did that. And had I taken that overnight board opping job, I was kicking myself because I had like 2 weeks left on the internship. And I was like, man, I'm going back and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to start working at the mall again, because that's what I was doing part-time, was working at the mall. And I was like, I need to do something. I need to have a job. I can't just go back without a job. And I was kicking myself for not taking the overnight board opping job. And then like with 2 weeks left, I got the call like, hey, there's changes, talks moving, things are moving around. Like, would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely. So I came back and like I interned for like 2 more months while they figured it all out. And it just worked. I was really lucky with timing, I'd say. I was also lucky because I went pretty far in the process. In 2010, so 2 years before, I got pretty deep in the process of like an internship with the Marlins, where I would have been like with their media department. Like I got to the point that I had it was like 3 rounds of interviews, and I remember sitting in the office talking to PJ Loyello, who was like that like top. So like this was like I made it there, and I think it was like down to like me and like 3 other people, or like 2 other people. And I got to like the final round of interviews, and I didn't get picked. So like I never got that internship. But had I gotten that internship, like those Marlins internships, from what I understand, were like full time, basically. Like you were like doing a lot. And I think the part, I could be wrong, but I think part of it was I was like, yeah, I'm still doing like school. Like I haven't graduated yet. I still need to do my, 12 credits a semester or whatever. So I don't know what happened with that, but I went pretty far in that. But had I gotten that, I probably would have left the radio station. Had I left the radio station, I probably wouldn't have been offered the job. I wouldn't have gotten the internship. So like life's weird, man. Like sometimes it's about like not just the opportunities that you take, but like the ones that like don't work out also lead you to being where you're supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that is a follow-up to, and that was a follow-up to a question I had, Billy. There's a lot of young student journalists in FIU as the communications field grows and more students are interested in becoming sports journalists, myself included, Kevin included. Just what general advice would you give young journalists looking for similar work here in South Florida?
Move out
You're
of
basically
Miami.
talking to me here. You're basically
move out of Miami, young people, so that myself and Jake and Kevin can stay here and get the jobs when they become available.
That would be most ideal, but
yeah,
I don't know if we can reach the masses that much.
I would say it sounds really dumb and simple, and like I tell people this when they ask me, like be genuine, right? Like be yourself, work hard, like try to outwork people, so that they see it, and don't treat anyone bad. Like even as you're rising up, like through the ranks or whatever, like just be nice to everyone, because you don't know, like it's such a weird industry where like someone that's interning for you today could be like your boss or hiring you like 2 years from now. So like I would just say outwork everyone, even if you think no one's paying attention, like there are people that are taking note, and just be like a genuine person. I know that's not great advice, but like always go the extra mile, try not to complain about things, like just do the try to make yourself stand out by outworking everyone around you, I would say, if that makes sense. And I feel like, and obviously I've been very fortunate to end up where I am, but I feel like if you kind of do the right thing, things will all work out, which is like, I'm very lucky that I am where I am. So obviously I'm not saying that people that like didn't have things pan out was because like they were bad people. That's not what I mean, but
yeah,
you get it.
You talk about those
very
Marlins
general advice.
before you continue. You talk about those Marlins internships. Those are real full-time jobs. I've seen it when I go there. It's like, you know, the last one who had the internship now works for the team. And they're like, she's like the credential person. So
yeah,
those are good internships.
They lead to jobs. I know someone that was at the time before I applied. I knew someone that got one, and it was like I feel like it was like in the marketing department or something. I would see him like running around on the field like on Super Saturdays, like doing things, setting up for like pre-concerts or whatever. But yeah, like if you could get in, like that's great, because those lead to jobs. From what I understand.
Yeah.
Again, great. Thank you for that great advice, Billy.
Did you learn anything, advice, Jake? I feel like that's not like I didn't actually help you. Just being
nice. It's general advice, but I honestly think that like any and all advice is lights out.
Lights out! Lights out!
We have to do this once.
We had to hit our criteria. You
said that just to say lights out.
Look, Billy, please, that's our criteria. We have restrictions, and that's a requirement. Play that at least once per episode. I just had to find a way to seam into that. All right, moving on.
Do you have anything else that you need to check off? So just like tell me privately in the chat, and I'll like say the code word so that you can do it if you want.
I have news break coming up, but that's a little bit more as it happens. I'd say don't worry about that.
Okay.
We already mentioned Marlins talk at the end. So
did I throw off the order that we were supposed to do things? I'm sorry.
No,
not at all. No. Not at all. This is great.
We have a planner, but the planner is flexible. Okay.
It's very flexible, actually.
Yeah. So Billy, let's talk about the Dan LeBatard show. I love it. Kevin, you better love it.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys really? Because I feel like I you guys are young, and like the show's very old now.
To it all the time. Look, when my dad took me to places when I was super young, he had the radio. He was tuned into ESPN, listening to the Dan LeBatard show, right?
Okay.
And so I've been listening to the show when it was on ESPN, and even when it left ESPN. It's still great, and there's a lot of great moments on that show, including yourself and obviously the rest of the talented cast there. What are some of your favorite memories you've had on that show?
On the show, you know what's weird is that like I like to think about the things that I've been able to do because of the show. I know this is not answering your question, but like so we did for the show, and something that I wouldn't have been able to do because of the show was like American Ninja Warrior was down here like years ago, and they were shooting things, and I was able to like try to run the course of an American Ninja Warrior, and I failed, but like I did it. There's the famous like clip. I don't know if you guys have seen it. So Amin Al-Hassan, who does like basketball, he works with us now. He used to work on ESPN. There was a clip of him that they would play on The Jump and on Sports Nation all the time, where he failed spectacularly at the start of American Ninja Warrior, where he tried to run up and grab a rope, but it was like on one of those things that moved, and he didn't know that, so he jumped and like just his body went flying and he missed the rope completely. I got to do that, and they had us run it right before all the real competitors ran it. So like it was nighttime, there was a crowd, like the announcers were announcing it so that we would like put the video out or whatever. That was pretty cool. Like and I was kind of like, we found out that we were going to do it on somewhat short notice, so I couldn't actually like
Prepare.
get in. Yeah, I couldn't really prepare. Not that you can, because how are you supposed to actually train for American Ninja Warrior unless like that's what you dedicate your life to? Because it's like all these things. We found, I just said I didn't prepare. We found a place the day before we did it that was like a Ninja Warrior training thing up in Fort Lauderdale somewhere, where they had like the warped wall. So you would like go and practice on the warped wall and do all that stuff. And I was actually able to run up and grab the top, and then I did like a pull up and I let myself like go down. So that was cool. Like, so doing Ninja Warrior was cool. Because of relationships, like I see, Jake, that you have like a NASCAR thing behind you. I don't know if you actually like NASCAR or not, but
Never miss a race at Homestead.
Really? How is Homestead? I've never been to Homestead. I went to Homestead actually for something that was not NASCAR related.
Dude, I talk so much about how awesome the NASCAR races are at Homestead Miami Speedway that I'm basically an ambassador. It's awesome. If you like NASCAR, if you're a casual NASCAR fan and you're in Miami-Dade County, you need to make the trip.
Have you gone to any other races?
No?
Have you gone to any other races or no? Just Homestead.
One time I went to Daytona with my family. That was super sick.
I saw that one the other day.
I went to the Daytona 500 because of the show. Mm-hmm. So like we went for what was Danica's last race, and Marty Smith, who works at ESPN, was like, I just reached out, I was like, hey, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I reached out to him to see if maybe he could like help out with tickets. But the way I like led with the conversation was, hey, if you go to a NASCAR race, where are good seats to sit? Like, should you want to be higher? Do you want to be lower? Whatever. And he's like, tell me how many people you want to go with. And I felt bad. So I just said me, and I told him my parents, right? Which actually caused like friction between my wife and my sister, because they went up with us to Daytona. And I'm like, I can't tell this guy that we need 5 tickets. Like, I don't know him like that. And that seems like a lot of an ask, which once I got it, it was basically like, it was called I think it was called like a hot pass or something like that. Mm-hmm. Do you know about this, Jake, or no?
Yes. I know about the hot pass. It's pretty much a universal NASCAR thing, not just for Daytona. Most tracks have a feature like that.
It was incredible. So like we were in the pits before the race. We could walk around like pretty much anywhere. Like it was awesome. The Daytona 500 was really cool. And like, I don't even love NASCAR that much.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a fun time being at a NASCAR race, regardless. Like, you see it on TV, you're like, but you go to it, you hear it, obviously, you smell it. It's so sick. It's so sick. I'm
trying to think of what other, like, I have obviously memories from the show, but also like things like covering the Super Bowl, like stuff like that, that like I've been able to do because of the show. Like I went, like the Super Bowl that was here in Miami, after I went to that one to work it for ESPN radio. And after the game, I had to run around and grab players and like hand them my phone and ask them if they wanted to be on ESPN radio live. And the thing that's like tricky about that is it was the Chiefs and it was the 49ers. And
54. Okay.
You have to go down into the tunnel. Like if you want to get a good position to run out onto the field after when all the media runs out there, you have to go down there like the start of the fourth quarter. So I'm preparing because I know they're going to be wearing the championship shirts. So their numbers and their names are going to be covered. So I have to memorize what everybody looks like. And I know I'm not going to get the big stars, right? So I'm trying to memorize as many faces as possible, knowing that I'm not going to be able to see their jerseys, names, numbers, whatever, right? And I'm doing this for the 49ers because the 49ers are up by like 2 touchdowns or something at the time, right?
Oh, no.
And then Patrick Mahomes leads this ridiculous comeback. So like with 3 minutes left in the game, I'm like, oh crap, I need to now start doing this for the Chiefs just in case. And sure enough, the Chiefs end up coming back and winning. And it all worked out. Like whatever. I ended up the only person I was able to get was Terrell Suggs, which ended up being great because it was like, oh my God, like they were super like, oh my God, you got Terrell Suggs, which was just like, here, take my phone. And also I hope my phone doesn't die. And also please give me my phone back and don't disappear like into the locker room with it or something. So like the Super Bowl was cool.
I would know because I was there.
Were you at the Super Bowl?
I was.
Just as a fan, though?
As a fan.
Yeah. How was it?
Incredible. My dad and I were able to go to even better than the game, low key, was the tailgate party before the game, where it was just Pitbull singing banger after banger after
I couldn't
banger.
get into that. I tried, and they're like, your credential does not get you into this. It was very disappointing.
Pitbull was just an hour of his best hits. That was just awesome. That was so awesome.
You asked me my favorite memory of FIU. So when I was at FIU, they had so like they always have like the concerts that they have like before homecoming and like in the spring or whatever. Pitbull was there at least 2 times while I was there. One time it was just Pitbull, and it was like between the 2 garages by like the art museum or whatever it is, whatever that is. Like when you first drive in, you have the 2 garages. I think the blue and the gold or whatever it is.
Like Panther and Golden Panther.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. But between those 2 garages, they had a stage set up, and Pitbull was performing there. And then, and I met him after, because they had like a thing, like if you were the first, if you were like the first 10 people or 20 people or whatever, like to go in, like you like a meet and greet with Pitbull after. And I was not, but the person that was running that was actually the person that like gave me my like orientation tour and was like, just come. So like they snuck us in to meet Pitbull. And then and then I saw him another time in the arena, and it was him and Kid Cudi performing like back to back, which was like kind of a crazy concert at the time.
We don't get concerts like that anymore.
The funny thing about that dude, I also saw Ludacris there on the soccer field. Like they had Ludacris perform there one year on the soccer field, which is like crazy. I don't know how they managed to do that.
There's no way.
You know what's funny about the Kid Cudi Pitbull concert? I was going because like I like Pitbull, right? And I like Kid Cudi too, but like I like Pitbull. And Kid Cudi actually opened for Pitbull. And like I quickly learned the majority of the people there for Kid Cudi, because as soon as Kid Cudi was done, a lot of the students left because they're like, I'm good. I just wanted to see Kid Cudi. And poor Pitbull didn't have like the sold out arena anymore.
That's insane. The only concert I saw during my time at FIU was T-Pain and Sway Lee, and that was sick. But god damn, Pitbull twice.
You know who I saw also, and this was like the strangest of the concerts that was there. It was like at their peak, LMFAO was there, but they were there and they were performing at like, it was like a patch of grass behind one of the frat houses, and they just had like this little stage set up, and I don't even know how that was arranged, but it was like, it seemed like really weird. It was just like, hey, LMFAO is performing today. And it wasn't at a frat house, which I wouldn't have gone to because like I wasn't in a frat. It was like in like a patch of grass that was there, and they just set up a stage that you could see from like 107th Avenue. It was really weird. That one was strange.
Damn.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the Manfred interview. That's probably one of the more iconic moments in LeBatard history.
Infamous?
Yeah, probably.
That went very poorly. Yeah. What do you want to know? That was very, very uncomfortable.
Just like, just how was that? Being able to talk to him and basically just ripping him into pieces.
Thank you. It went not as we thought it would.
Like, what was the original plan?
I mean, with Dan, plan sometime is hard, right? So at the time they just sold the Marlins. And he wasn't happy with the sale. So there was lots of criticism of Manfred, and eventually I think it got to a point where it's like, well, let's have Manfred come on and like smooth things over, I guess is what baseball thought would happen, and thought that it wouldn't be contentious and it would be kind of like a respectful, and I say this with all due respect, like Mike and Mike type interview where it's like, oh, the commissioner's on, like, let's just talk about whatever. And it didn't go that way. And at the time, I'm trying to remember what it was. Like there was, do you remember Project Wolverine was like the code word for like the secret, alleged secret documents that like the new ownership group had about like what their plans were And like that made it seem like, well, they're not really going to be spending that much money and all this. I think that's what it was. Somehow Dan got his hands on that. So like Manfred was saying like things that he was saying were not the case because he had like the actual like document. He had seen it and whatever. So it didn't go well. And I don't think he'll ever be on the show again.
How did he even agree to do that?
I don't.
That's surprising.
I think that was organized. Like I think ESPN put that together, and obviously ESPN is like a baseball partner, and like the commissioner's getting criticized, so they thought, okay, we'll have the commissioner come on and he can defend himself, and like that'll be that, and everybody will agree. And it didn't go. It didn't go well.
And then I want to ask you about another guest. You have had former President David Sampson on. How's that?
Oh, he's on.
He shares a lot. And we had him on Fish Stripes a couple months ago, but with you guys, he shares a lot.
I'm not because of like the things they have us all doing other things aside from the show now. So like we all have like side responsibilities that we're doing. And there's more of us there. So I actually don't interact with him a lot. Just because the day that he's on, I'm usually not in that day because they have me doing other stuff. So he's on a lot. I mean, he's polarizing, I would say. I think if you're, how do I put this? I would say he's not beloved by Marlins fans that have been there for a long time. I think that he shares a lot. I think that people outside of South Florida like him. I think people inside of South Florida like him, but there's also people that like remember what was going on with the Marlins when he was president. So I mean, what do you think about him being on? Let me ask you guys.
He's cool.
It's kind of like we haven't answered this one.
He's a cool dude. I mean, we had him on Fish Stripes. He was great, phenomenal. He had this moment on the pod. I wasn't on it, but he like proves that he still loves the Marlins. He gets up, he shows us how he's wearing Marlins shorts, and then he sits back down. That was hilarious.
But like his logo Marlins, right? Or no?
No, the new logo.
Really? I thought that he didn't like the logo. I remember he was at one of the events that we did, and I was wearing, it was like right after the new logo, and I was wearing like a Marlins hat with the new logo, and he took off my hat and threw it into the crowd because he did not like that they changed the logo.
What?
Yeah, he didn't like that they changed the logo.
I mean, I don't
wait, that wasn't even the first time they changed. They have like what, three different logos by now?
Yeah, but they changed the logo from the logo that like he helped design or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So
God,
I will say this. I have met him a handful of times, and he's always been very nice to me, very cordial to me. In fact, the internship that I had mentioned, was it the internship? I don't know if it was the internship that he told me. No, I think Raul Stryker Jr. I met Raul Stryker Jr. when I was working at the mall, and he, I believe, is the one that told me who to reach out to for the internship, but I don't remember. I think it was him. Sampson, I did when I was in college, like he agreed to do an interview like with me for like my school project or whatever, which was like really nice of him. I didn't know him. I didn't mention that I like interned on the show. Because I don't remember where we were at that point in the show's relationship with him, because he was on the show forever, and then and then something happened and he wasn't on the show for a long time, and I think it's because Jeffrey did not want him on the show anymore, so he couldn't be on the show for a little bit. And then like once the team sold, then he was back on the show again. I think this was in the period that he wasn't on the show. But yeah, like he had me come and he had me interview him in the old stadium in the dugout. He was like really nice. He answered like absolutely everything. At the time they were building the new stadium, he like asked me like, hey, do you want to go on a tour? He had me like reach out to someone. They put me on the list with like the other like journalists, which was like crazy because I was just like a student journalist at the time. So like, I was able to like preview the stadium while I was under construction. Like he's always been like very cordial and nice to me. I will say that.
And he's a very smart guy too. I mean, at the end of the day, people may hate him, but he's extremely smart and intelligent.
Yeah.
But
I will say, Billy,
Jake hates him. I can tell.
Yeah.
I've never had the luxury of meeting either Loria or Sampson. At
Have you
least
met Loria, Billy?
I have not. No.
Okay.
I will say one of the most iconic memories I have of you on the Dan LeBatard show was Beatball.
Oh,
that
I
was
thought you were going to say opening day since we were talking baseball.
I mean, look, I could sit here and talk about baseball all day, but I wanted to bring up People, which was, if I'm not mistaken, I want to get this correct. It was a segment you did where you, I don't want to say cosplay, or I guess pretended to be an avid Canes fan who didn't go to the University of Miami and argue
so like
with
every Canes
Dan
fan.
LeBatard about what was it, like commitment to the Hurricanes. This was during I don't know. It
really started pre like the game that UM was playing against Joe Burrow and LSU at Cowboy Stadium, I believe, if I remember correctly. So that was like probably like, I don't know, 2018 or 2019 or something. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't planned, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, which I know might sound like weird. That was not a planned thing. That just kind of happened organically because we were doing the local hour at that time on 790 The Ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into like this weird thing where we were like actually trying to like break down like UM's chances of this and that. And it was like, let's try to be reasonable about this. And I was like, this is not going well. So I just went like the opposite and was like, let me be as unreasonable as possible. And then like a lot of things, like I didn't think that this was going to become a thing. I didn't like, it got away from me. Like I thought like, whatever, I'll just do this one time. And then it became a character, and then the character had a name, and then there was like stories involved, and then like
the People lore is extensive.
It became like a bit, and then there was like I went dressed up to the FIU UM game. That was like the second. There was like 3 seasons, or 2 or 3 seasons that I actually like did it. So like I think the second season was when I went like actually dressed up. It was like walking around the tailgate of the FIU UM game with a microphone, like interviewing people. And that video ended up never like seeing the light of day, I don't think. But like that was wild because that was like,
was that the one at Marlins Park?
No, it was the year before where FIU was. Yeah, it ended up not going well. But that was wild because I didn't. When we were walking around the tailgate, I would do the stuff on the radio like that, and that was it, right? But it's like really everything. Like I do these things on the radio in front of like 8 people in the studio, and I like don't think about like the ramifications and how many people are actually listening. So like I was walking around thinking like I'll just go and like mess with people and have them like whatever, right? And like there were a lot of people like, oh, people like take shots with that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like there like in character doing this. I'm not. I convinced myself stupidly like I can't say no. So I'm like doing like funnels and all these shots of whatever it is that people were handing me. It was like a terrible idea, but I was like, I need to do it because I'm in character. And like if I was like an actor like doing this, and I was any shot anyone gave me, I was taking that. It was a disaster. It was like, I do not recommend it. Kevin, don't do this when you go to college. Okay,
I don't plan to.
Don't do that. Don't come up with a character and convince yourself that you need to stay in character the whole time. It was not a good idea.
That's just so oddly specific, though.
It also like that was crazy. I got in trouble for doing people when I was at ESPN because I got through twice on Paul Feinbaum's show, and it was just to try to mess with Paul Feinbaum and say as many ridiculous things as possible to see what I can get away with. And I did it twice with Feinbaum. One time they got the video and it went out. And then that year I had like big plans, and I was like, I'm going to try to do this radio thing where I'm just calling in. Like I looked at UM's schedule and I was trying to every week get through on a radio show and like hopefully get the coach's show of like the other team and just mess with like the coach, like as people, right? So like I started doing it. And I did it to a station in Gainesville, and where I like didn't think this through all the way. My thinking was we work for ESPN. the way things work is like you have to get sounds cleared. So if I thought if I do things and I make them look dumb or whatever, they can then come back and say you can't air that. So what's the point of doing it, right? Because like sometimes they would tell us you can't air this, you can't air that, right? So I thought if I do this on ESPN stations, they can't tell me that we can't do it because like it's our station, you know what I mean? Like it's an ESPN, like they can't stop us from doing it. What I didn't think would happen is I got through on the Gainesville one, and it was an ESPN affiliate in Gainesville, and I was messing with them. And then the way that I got the sound was I just went to the podcast and I downloaded it. And then we aired it on the show. And then people were like, oh my God, they're so stupid, whatever. Like, so they ended up looking bad. And I didn't think about the fact that I was making like people within our company look bad because I was just like, whatever, it's a joke. It's not a big deal. And they called like our bosses, and they said that we illegally recorded them without their consent. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I just downloaded their podcast. Like I went on pretending to be a guest, or pretending to be a caller, yes. Like, and I was just saying outlandish things to them, trying to get them agitated, and it worked. But like I wasn't recording it on my phone. I just downloaded their podcast. So then I got kind of like a talking to, which is like, hey, why don't you run it by us before you do this? And I'm like, that's not fun. I don't want to be doing that. Like, because you're going to tell me no on everything that I'm going to be trying to do. So I got in trouble for that. Not trouble, but like I got a talking to for that. And that kind of took the steam out of it. And then I was on hold to talk to Mac Brown because UM was playing UNC. And I got to a point that I was like on hold and like, okay, coach will get to you soon. And then I think they figured out what was going on, because eventually they just hung up on me. Like I was just on hold for like 10 minutes and I'm like walking through and I'm like trying to like, what am I going to do? How am I going to bother Mac Brown? All this stuff. I couldn't believe it got that far, and they hung up on me. So then after like getting in trouble and having this show like hang up on me, I'm like, I'm not this, whatever. I kind of let it go. I also like, I'm weird in that like I'm fine doing these things like once or twice and then just like being done with it and like having people like enjoy it and want more. And I don't want to keep doing it forever, which is why like people hasn't been around for a while, because like it's a lot and it gets annoying. And like I think the last time people was around was in an interview with Mario Cristobal when they just hired Mario Cristobal. And I did one with Manny Diaz, and Manny Diaz was like completely like caught off guard with what was going on. Mario Cristobal had more of a sense of humor about it and like would play along with it more. But former players got upset because I said something about one of the coaches that they didn't like because they were friends with the coach. And then it led to a former player threatening. Third hand, we found out that this person was upset about what happened and told this reporter that they were going to go to the studio and beat up Dan. So then I thought maybe let me pump the brakes a little bit, even though I'm clearly joking. They're not taking it this way. So what am I doing? I said something. It was weird. Like I said, like one of the line coaches was short or something like that, and like how can you have someone that's that short coach the line or something like that? And like they got really defensive and protective about it, and I was just like, it was dumb. It was dumb.
That's some insane dedication to your craft, though, I will say.
I mean, whatever. The thing is, a lot of these I don't want to actually do them, but it's like, oh, let's do this. And it's like I can't say no, so I end up doing it. And then once I start going, I just get like I lose control of the situation very quickly. Like another one that like, and I feel bad about it to this day, was the Marlins and the whole Lewis Brinson All-Star game situation. So like Lewis Brinson was traded to the Marlins in the Christian Yelich deal, and was obviously not having a great first season, was struggling, was hitting like 161 or 162 or something at the time. So on the show, we started a campaign to get Lewis Brinson into the All-Star game. And every day we would go and we would try to get people to vote Lewis Brinson into the All-Star game. And we would go and we'd try to update it. And this was after the Manfred thing, by the way, like months after the Manfred thing. So like you have that in the background. So we're trying to do it, and I don't think about the fact that like, and to this day, I still feel horribly about it. I don't think about the fact that this is actually like a baseball player who's struggling, right? I just think like, oh my god, like let's get people, because like some hockey player had just gotten voted into the NHL All-Star game that was like a career minor leaguer, and then it's like became like the captain of the NHL All-Star game or something because of fan voting. So I'm like, let's do this with a Marlins player. Like, let's get a Marlins player into the All-Star game. So every day I was like, vote Lewis Brinson, vote Lewis Brinson. And then people from around the country start sending pictures of them like at Camden Yards with a vote Lewis Brinson NL All-Star game, at Wrigley Field, like vote for Lewis Brinson, like state, like Great American Ballpark, vote for Lewis Brinson. Like they all start tweeting us and sending pictures of all these signs to vote for Lewis Brinson to go to the All-Star game. And I feel terrible because like I really didn't think like this is something that, luckily, like he was cool about it.
He found out.
Yeah, he found out because then people started asking him, like, what do you think about this push to get into the thing? And like he said, like, you know, nothing. But I met him. I feel like I met him like once or twice, and he was always like cool about it. But like you could tell, like, this guy's an idiot. Like in thinking me, like this is like some idiot. Why do I have to talk to this guy? But was always like nice and cool about it. But I always felt bad about that. Do you guys remember like HQ Trivia, like the app on your phone, or not really? So like there was a sports one where like it was for like a moment. It was like a thing that everyone would go on at whatever the time was, like 7:30, whatever, and they would play and like, let me try to answer these 12 questions and I'll win a share of $20,000. But like 20,000 people win, or like 40,000 people win, so you get like 13 cents, right? Like you won absolutely nothing, but everybody would go. But it was like there was like a live chat, and that's when I realized that it got ahead of me. Was when I was on there playing the sports version, and people read Lewis Brinson All-Star game, Lewis Brinson All-Star game. I was like, oh my god, like this has gotten away from me very quickly. So lots of those things happen where you don't realize how many people were there, and people was one of them where I didn't realize how that was going.
God. Jake, I think it's time for news break.
We've earned ourselves a break. It's an FIU news break. All right, there we go. I was wondering. Okay, so this is the FIU news break, your source for some of the latest news from FIU Athletics and just FIU in general, because we're like that. Starting off, FIU football has announced that they will soon be unveiling a brand new Miami Vice themed uniform for next season. The news comes after the team recently surpassed 30.5 new donors for their Panther Club on 305 Day. Expect to see the Vice uniforms being unveiled not long before the season begins. While we don't know when they will use them, expect to see them used maybe once or twice this season at home, paired with their Vice field design that they debuted last season, which was a massive hit. Moving on to FIU basketball, 3 players from the Panthers have been selected as some of the best in Conference USA. After a stellar season, Denver Jones has been named to the Conference USA All-First Team, while both Deshaun Gittins and Arturo Dean have been named to the All-Freshman team. Dean specifically has been named Freshman of the Year for Conference USA. He is the first Panther to be given that honor since Freddie Asparilla in 2009. And lastly, FIU Business has launched a brand new MBA program in cybersecurity risk management. The course is designed for professionals who want to learn the basic and advanced skills of cybersecurity in regards to businesses who may be at a risk as digital crime increases. Cybersecurity risk management is a fully online course that'll begin this upcoming fall semester with a graduate program available next year. And that was your very brief FIU news break.
Yeah, good stuff. Billy, I want to ask you, how often do you keep up with FIU Athletics nowadays?
I mean, like I follow them on social and stuff like that, and I'll try to go. I'll go to football games every year. I wanted to go to a basketball game
Those are
this
fun.
year, but I haven't. I didn't go this year. I went last year to a basketball game. I know baseball season just started. I want to try to go to baseball this year. I want to go to track, but I'd have to see when it is. I think they have like a meet once a year at UM, but not as much as I'd like to, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, hey, next Wednesday, Miami versus FIU baseball.
Baseball? Where is it here or is at UM?
At FIU.
It's out here.
Oh, all right.
All right,
Are you guys going to be there?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing on Wednesday, Jake. Jeez.
I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, look, regardless of the sport, and I know you know this, regardless of the sport, FIU playing Miami is always a big deal, right? And it hit its milestone, of course, in 2019 when FIU finally got the win in football, which was insane.
Unpopular opinion: the fight was awesome.
The fight was super sick. They've made documentaries about it.
The fight was awesome. I was at that game. It was crazy.
They made YouTube videos. There have been not really studies, but it got a lot of exposure.
I thought I was going to.
He doesn't know. But
I thought I was going to die that day, Kevin.
That.
I was very scary because I was in the first row of the upper deck at the Orange Bowl. Did you ever go to the Orange Bowl?
Me, no.
You have not missed. You did not. You did not miss out on the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl was a dump. And it was very
cool things happened there. So it was awesome.
It was very unsafe, Kevin. Like the last couple seasons, like little chunks of concrete would just fall. There was also like the pipes were like right below like the upper deck, but above the fan. So like mystery water would like drip on you from time to time. Like it was the Orange Bowl.
It makes FedEx Field look good. All right.
The Orange Bowl was a dump. So like the upper deck, the security, like the safety, like that they had in the upper deck, the front row basically just had like, it was like a metal fence post, but there was like no actual like barrier. So it was like waist high, like just like either one or two like metal poles. And it was just like, try not to get too close because you'll fall over the edge. And like when the fight happened, everybody like rushed to like try to get as close as possible. So like I'm pinned up against like that like metal bar. And I'm like, I may die today. Like this may be the last thing that happens in my life. And then all you could see from the upper deck, because it was like madness. So like you watch the video doesn't do it justice. Because the video's like you see and you're like, oh, this lasted like 30 seconds. It felt like an eternity because fights were happening. The game was stopped for like 10 minutes, then fights were happening in the stands. So like while the fights are happening on the field, while they're still trying to get things under control, they brought the cops in on horses, like around the field. And then you just see like a parade of police cars driving from downtown. And you'd see it go street by street, turning all of them together. And you're like, what's happening? And then you realize they're coming here. They drive into like the open end of the Orange Bowl and there's all these cop cars. Then like you'd see all the cops that are on the field. Every time a fight would break out in the crowd, the cops would all run and it'd be like a parade of cops going through the sections to break things up. It was madness. It was like awesome, but it was madness.
You were there, Jake?
Billy, am I good? Oh,
yeah.
There? No. I was 6 years old. I was 6 years old, dog. Ain't no way I was going to something
Dude,
crazy.
It was so awesome. And they cut into I had friends that were at, because that was like my first year, I think it was my first year. So I had friends that were at UF, like in Gainesville, and there was a UF football game on ESPN that night. So like I think they were away and they cut to the fight to show the highlights, like a wild scene down in South Florida, the Orange Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And like people are calling me and texting me like, what's happening? Are you okay? Like what's happening at that stadium? I'm like, it's awesome. Like this is the best game I've ever been to. And it was a close game at the time.
It was
like things got out of control after that, but it was a close game at the time. Like FIU was hanging in with UM. Anyway,
Billy, refresh my memory. Who was the FIU player that was on crutches?
Ahmad Ned.
Fight? Say his name again.
Ahmad Ned. Never forget.
Yeah. He basically became a meme for a while.
Yeah. Do you know about that, Kevin?
In crutches, looking like he was ready to go to war.
So he was like a running back or backup running back, and he was injured. And he had some sort of leg injury. And then the fight is happening, and he is going out to join the fight on crutches. And like it got ugly because he got pushed to the ground. And I don't want to smear his name. I don't remember if a crutch ended up being swung after he got pushed to the ground, but he was definitely thrown to the ground while he was on crutches. And then like it was a meme that happened. It was like like memes being a thing.
Yeah.
But like he was getting photoshopped into like pictures of him like at D-Day, like storming Normandy Beach and like all these other different things. Yeah, like they put him in everything because he was going out there on crutches and wanted to be part of the fight. It was crazy. It was awesome. I loved it. That's awesome. One of my favorite FIU memories. And I know that that's not what I should say, but that day was amazing.
Kevin, as soon as this is over, you got to watch that video.
I'll probably have to watch it. Yeah,
you have to, right?
Yep.
So and in the video,
Go ahead.
the video, the UM announcer is like egging it on, which I think he ended up getting.
He got fired after that.
But I don't. Was it because of that? I don't remember. He got fired like really shortly after. I think
he was suspended, and then he did some weird stuff, and then he got fired.
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, like he was egging them on, and he was saying like if they don't finish this now, they should go up in the tunnel and fight in the tunnel. Like it was wild. Like it was a different time.
He was like, after the game, have a meetup at the parking lot. Finish.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so awesome.
Scott Carr, I hope you're not listening to this.
Yeah.
All right,
Billy.
We don't endorse fighting. What?
I was doing research, Billy, and one of the craziest things I stumbled upon was you getting your own day in Cartersville, Georgia.
Yes.
Billy Gil Day, as it's known. How did that happen?
So the mayor of Cartersville, Georgia, listens to the show and was a fan of the show. And we went to Atlanta for the Super Bowl, like 4 years ago now. And he was like reaching out and was like, hey, because he knew that I was going to be, or he knew I was there, like covering the game. So Cartersville is probably like 45 minutes north of Atlanta. I want to say north. I don't remember. I had to rent a car to go. But so like we were there and he's like, hey, we want to honor you. We want to have Billy Gil Day if you'll come to Cartersville. And I like never committed fully because I didn't know what I'd have to do while I was there. So I never said like, hey, I'm going to go, like, because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it because I had to do like actual like things for the Super Bowl. And then lo and behold, they had Billy Gil Day anyways, and they put it on their marquee in their town. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, well, I have to go now. So then I went to the airport. I rented a car. Me and my friend Charlie, who was there with me to like do the video stuff, drove over to Cartersville, Georgia. We told him, and shout out to Mayor Matt Santini. We told him like, hey, we're going. And then he was like, well, you told us you weren't. So we took down the marquee. We're going to have to put it back up again. So they then had to go and re-put up like Billy Gil Day or whatever. So we drive there and he has like a proclamation. He reads the proclamation, gives me like a jersey and a hat and all this stuff. I ended up giving him the hat I'm wearing. We do like a hat exchange, right? And like the video, the picture shows me like with the mayor, but what it doesn't show, which is like the funniest part, was that there was literally no one there like celebrating this day. So it's me, the mayor, the one person that I was with that was filming it, and then like 2 employees that work with the mayor who also runs, or at the time ran, the radio station that they ran there. And one of the employees was from Miami and used to work at 560 WQAM, which is just like a crazy coincidence. So no one was at this day. So it was a day that I was honored, but no one was there for. And it's still
there was like no fans, no nothing.
No, there was like 3 people there.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, it was awesome. I honestly I have to go back, just because, and like hopefully like we could go and make it a thing, and then maybe people can like go if they're like in the surrounding areas, and it'll be fun. But like it's funnier that way, where it's like, yeah, there was literally nobody there.
And you have your own merch, by the way, right? That's correct. You have Billy Gil merch.
So yes and no. I don't run that. Like, so there's a website called Guillermo Mafia, and like these people put together this it's basically like a fan club kind of, and it's just fans, like, and they'll make shirts and do things like based on stuff that like I say and do or whatever. And it's like super flattering. But like you know why I didn't do that is because like at the time I worked for ESPN, I was so afraid of getting fired for doing something like that like they were like, hey, you want to like partner with us or whatever? And I'm like, I don't think I'm allowed to. And they're like, just did it anyways. I'm like, okay, cool. So like it's very cool. It's very flattering that like 2 guys in Texas started like a website and sell shirts and hats based on things that I say. Wow. But yeah.
So I was trying to get the picture up of you, but it's not working. So the one of you.
Oh, a Billy Gil Day? It's very sad.
Yeah. Is that annual? But is that still going on? Is it an annual thing?
I'll get like a tweet and stuff about it from them every year. I think it's I want to say it's like February 5th, maybe. It's like in the 4, 5, 6, 7 range. But yeah, he texts me and tweets me about it every year. That's why I want to go. But like this year is like on a Wednesday, so I can't go on I can go on a Wednesday, but it'll be like the first one where it'll be just me and him. You know,
not next
like
Wednesday. You're going to be at the baseball game, FIU in Miami.
Well, no, yeah, that's true. Next Wednesday, I can't go next Wednesday for sure.
What day actually is it? Like what?
It's early February. I feel like I'll tell you right now. Well, I won't tell you right now. I'm gonna give me a second and I can tell you. But it's like February like 6th or 7th or something.
While Billy is checking that out, now's a perfect time to briefly go over what's actually going on in FIU Athletics, as is our show usually is. Let me quickly go over men's basketball. They won their final regular season game against Rice by a score of 90-83. They finished the regular season with a 14-17 record. They will take on Louisiana Tech in the Conference USA tournament, I want to say tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern over in Frisco, Texas. And FIU baseball, 7-6 record currently. They're coming off of 4 straight wins against Harvard University. They are taking on Stetson tomorrow at 5 p.m. as well. And after that, they'll begin a 3-game series against Marist College this upcoming weekend before the big one next Wednesday at home against the University of Miami.
So it's January 31st, I found. And the first one was January 31st, 2019. And there's a picture.
Calendar real quick.
There's a picture from the mayor saying, "What do you do when you get word that Billy Gil can't make it to Billy Gil Day? You celebrate it anyway." And then it's a picture of him with the proclamation in front of the marquee that he took down and then put back up because we ended up going. Yeah.
So does he just put the same tweet every year? Just Billy Gil can't make it, but we still celebrate?
No, I Googled Billy Gil Day and found like the original one from 2019.
You just flat out Google it and you found that?
I searched it on Twitter. I mean, yeah, because how many people are going to tweet Billy Gil Day? So it was pretty quick to find.
You got a point.
Yeah. No one cares about Billy Gil Day.
Something I am interested in. Do you still have that? I want to say famous, but it showed up in photos quite a bit. That holiday sweater that you taped FIU on. That's become like a very popular picture online. Do you still have that?
I have somewhere. The FIU tape thing is not on there. Because that was, I actually had, that was actually a hoodie that I had. And then one of the video people, because every day I would wear an FIU hoodie, when I put that one on, said like, that's missing FIU and taped FIU on it. It's somewhere. I don't know where though. I wouldn't be surprised if my wife threw it away. I have a suspicion that she throws away my clothes when I'm not paying attention. Not that this is, here nor there. But I feel like she just kind of gets rid of some of my stuff without telling me. And eventually I realize it once it's been long gone.
Wow.
It's a weird accusation. Deep. Yeah, it's a weird accusation.
So I guess just to wrap it up, when will we see you at an FIU Athletics event in the future?
I mean, Jake is trying to commit me to next Wednesday.
It's gonna be fun. Just come on.
You'll watch it 20-1 loss. You'll watch FIU lose 20-1.
You might see Scott, you might see Mike, you might see all the FIU people there.
I will say Mike McIntyre is very committed to go to these events.
It is every single event.
Does he really go to a lot of the games and stuff?
He goes to every basketball event.
He goes to baseball, basketball. He was there for soccer as well.
I feel like it has to be a weekend because if it's like a night thing during the week. What guys?
Hey, maybe you'll get to try the brand new FIU Sunblazer Golden Ale. Right?
I've seen that. I haven't had it, but I've seen it.
They sell it at the baseball stadium.
Well, now maybe I'll go. I shouldn't say that like if I'm like some alcoholic that is only going to
6:30 p.m. Just setting it 6:30 on Wednesday.
Here's the thing that I've learned because I have a daughter now. 6:30 is like dinner, bath, bedtime. You know what I mean? And then like after that, I have to like convince my wife if I want to go like, hey, let's go. Maybe I can go with my dad or something. But then it's like, do I abandon my family to go and hang out with you, Jake and Kevin, and drink a bunch of Sunblazer ale?
It's 50-50. It's I mean, the cool thing is that FIU baseball is playing Miami not twice but 4 times this year. I think they're going to play them again at home in May. So
they play twice at home and twice at Coral Gables.
Right. Okay.
And Billy, you asked me on my thoughts on the Marlins. I need your thoughts.
My thoughts on the Marlins.
And I'll send it to all the fish stripes guys.
I was trying to cheat by having you give me your thoughts so that when we do the game next week, because I think we're doing the game next Friday. I don't know if we talked about this on air or not. I think we're doing the game next Friday. So this is potentially breaking news.
I'll be going up that day.
Are you going to go up that day?
I'm going up that day, yeah. I don't know if I'll be at the game, but I'm going up.
So I was asking you your thoughts so I can kind of just repeat your thoughts when we do the game. Because like calling a 9-inning game is a lot. You have to talk about a lot of things.
I wanted to ask you about that.
What do you think about the new baseball rules this year? Like, how do you feel like? Yeah.
You'll realize that the game flies. Like, it flies. You think you could maybe have time in between pitch to go on your phone? You don't. You have to keep watching that game all the way through. The bigger bases, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I guess it's just have more steals and all that and get more base running out there, I guess is what you could say. And then the ban of the shift. I mean, we're seeing it with the Marlins games. You could see guys getting hits right up the middle, which wouldn't have been a hit last year because obviously you're playing with the shift and you have a guy right up the middle, so that won't go through. And then, I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip with Joey Gallo, but they kind of shifted in a way where they're still legal, like they could legally do it, but they're like stopping Joey Gallo from getting that hit.
Well, I saw. I don't remember if it was the Red Sox or who it was. It was like shifting outfielders now. So they had like they had like someone playing basically like right behind second base.
It was the Twins game where they stopped Joey Gallo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna tell this all to Kyle, right?
I need to do research. The thing is like, okay, it's been a rough spring. I don't think anyone will debate that. I will go and I will turn on the game, and it'll be like 8-1, and it's like the second inning, and it's like, well, I mean, I can't watch 4 hours of this. Not that it's 4 hours anymore because it goes fast. But I was looking up game times the other day on ESPN just to see like how much quicker the games are. And granted, like spring training games are quicker anyway, but like the low scoring games are like 2 hours 15 minutes, 2 hours 20 minutes. Like
today's was 2 hours and 14.
Those games are flying. But there's been so many, and it's just spring training, obviously, right?
Yeah.
There's been so many like games just around spring training where they're scoring like 14 runs, 12 runs, and those games are still like 3+ hours because of how much scoring is happening. So I wonder almost if like the shift is going to have the scoring go up so much that like you're going to be changing pitchers and it's going to like delay the game just because of how much action you're getting, if that makes sense.
You would think that's kind of why they put the pitch clock to kind of like, you're gonna get more offense without the shift, so let's add a pitch clock. The game's still gonna last a good amount of time.
I don't think they're gonna be calling like those strikes on batters in the regular season. I feel like this is like they'll do it, but like once the games start counting, not that they don't always count, but like we're not going to get a situation where like strikes are being called on batters because they're not ready by a certain point. I wouldn't think, right? Because like those clips have been kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the one with the Braves and the Red Sox the first day where the game ended. That was really bad.
Well, the Marlins the other day had a, I don't remember who it was. Like I don't know if the inning ended or just the at bat ended because like whoever was that was batting wasn't ready in time. Because I think what's the rule? Like you have to be ready like within 8 seconds or something of the pitch clock?
You have to be ready within like a certain time. I don't know exactly what it is, but you have to be ready in the plate or in the box. I'm sorry. And then the pitch has to be ready as well. And if the batter isn't ready, you start the count 0-1.
Yeah. Well, or if there's 2 strikes, that's the end of the at bat.
Yeah, exactly. Like we saw in that game with the Red Sox.
And then everyone gets confused everyone gets confused in the stadium because like they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, you would like to maybe see, the ref. I'm sorry, not the ref. The now that they have this when they do the replay thing, they tell you it. Maybe they should tell you this happened, so everyone knows, or a PA announcer can tell you what happened.
Did you see the Pirates game a couple days ago? Oh, was it the Pirates? I think it was the Pirates game.
It was Pirates Orioles where
that they played half an inning without umpires.
I saw that was amazing.
That was funny.
Yeah.
So the only thing I feel about the pitch clock is I don't know if 20 seconds. Or is it 50? Yeah.
It's 15 without runners on base, 19 with a runner on base.
Should it be longer? Like maybe 25 or 30?
I think it should be 20. Because let's look at it like this. We saw the World Series last year. that World Series was amazing, and especially the NLCS, that was amazing too. If you had a pitch clock, those great moments would have flown by. You kind of maybe want to something that many have proposed is increase the time on the pitch clock when it's like the 7th inning or after, so you have more time to prepare for these moments, and I guess the moments just feel better.
There's a 20-second at bat the other day, Jake. Did you see that?
I did not see it.
He struck out a batter
on accident, or
no? It was a 20-second at bat.
I saw that.
That's how
was
quick it
the
went.
Yankees, right?
Yeah, 3 strikes, 20 seconds.
Yeah,
he was just in there and throwing it right down the middle.
Okay, yeah. I it's funny because I've seen these compilations of like pitchers getting batters out and comparing it to the time that Giannis attempts a free throw, and like seeing how baseball is like a comparison to how baseball is just flying by nowadays. It's really cool. It's a cool idea, and I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work out in the end.
To answer your original question of what I feel about the Marlins, I like that they were, granted it was late in the offseason, but like they were active. They were active. They made moves. It obviously you haven't seen the results, right? Because the spring training records aren't good, but it's just spring training. And now, I mean, with the World Baseball Classic, like no teams are actually like complete, so you don't get a good feel for it anyways. But I like that they were making moves, but at the same time, like realistically, it's going to be hard to hang with, the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies,
especially since they got better.
That's the thing. And
Trey Turner's now Philly.
They spent so much that you can't keep up with them in the spending, right? But they were already so good, and they were all trying to get better. So even if you improve, do you improve? Like your best hope is like a second wild card spot or something. You know
That's
what I mean?
You got to go for, yeah.
So it's it'll be fun, like, but it's going to be hard to hang with them, I think.
Would you like to make a record prediction right now
for the Marlins? What did they finish at last year?
69 and 90 something.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be that, but
no, but like 80, if you predict 80, you think they're going to win 11 more games?
I think they'll win more. I just don't know.
They could win more, but that's a lot more. You have a first-time manager, but also
the coaching staff is really good.
Also,
I spoke to a player, and I'll tell you this: Brant Brown, the new hitting coach, and I quote it. He told me this guy's legit. Because supposedly, what Brant Brown has done, who was from the Dodgers, you could credit him for Cody Bellinger's success early on. They said he completely scrapped what they were doing, and he made a new hitting philosophy for this team, and it's worked.
From what I've heard, there's like a very positive vibe, there.
That too.
Now that maybe there wasn't necessarily last year, and like you would know better than I would. So
yeah, there wasn't.
I've heard good things. So like hopefully it translates to the field. Let's say, how about 7?
I said 78.
I was just gonna say 78. You know what? 92.
92.
What?
Yeah.
He went on Fish Stripes. He went on Fish Stripes Live, and he said Billy Hamilton would be the series MVP for our series.
He almost was. Okay,
he was.
Well, I shouldn't say he almost was, but I think that he like stole a base or something in that series. Yeah. Were you on that? You weren't on that, were you? You were.
I wasn't on that one. No. Yeah. But we got to get you back on soon.
I remember that. Yeah, they were, because everybody was saying Sandy, and it's like Billy Hamilton.
I think you said they would sweep. You said they would sweep the Mets.
Yeah, Billy because everyone else was saying 2-2 and 1-3, and I'm like, let's be positive, guys. 4-0. I think it was a 4-game series. Where is Billy Hamilton? He cannot still be in the league.
He's with the Chicago White Sox.
Is he going to make the team? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
He's back with the White Sox? Wasn't he with the White Sox before?
He's back with the White Sox, yeah. He signed, I think it was like a minor league deal, but I mean, it's good defense.
Are they going to sign anyone else? Yeah, I know this isn't what we're supposed to be talking about. Are they going to sign anyone else? I saw that you put out today like all the free agents that are still out there that they could sign.
They're in talks with Yuli Gurriel.
Yeah, what's happening? I don't know if you saw that. I feel like they've been in talks with him like all off season.
It's simple. They offered him a contract. He took too long to respond.
And they
removed the contract, and now he's basically coming back begging for a job.
Oh, whoa. Wow. What if you see him?
I mean, no team has signed him. For a guy like he had a horrible season too, but he was a batting champ 2 years ago. So it's like it's one bounce back year. You could bring him back and maybe resurrect some part of his career.
What do we think Avi's gonna do this year?
I think he bounces back. I don't know what capacity.
He dropped a lot of weight, right? Or am I just?
He dropped a lot of weight. He looks completely different, man. When you see him when you go up there, it's a different Avi Garcia.
Yeah.
Soler, I think, is gonna have a great year. He's looked good so far. De La Cruz as well. I think they're gonna be all right.
Sorry, Jake. We kind of hijacked this.
No, I just wanted to say all this talk about baseball is really wanting me to at least briefly mention the Dolphins because, goddamn, you saw. I don't know, Kevin, if you yourself saw this. Dolphins said they're not going to bring back Byron Jones.
They're cutting him. Yeah.
Billy, Tua. First of all, you think Tua's our guy, right? For the future.
I think they said today Tua is the guy, right?
Yeah.
Haven't they said? I think Mike. Yeah.
I mean, there's been all this Lamar talk. There's been
you saw the Tom Brady report,
but
I
saw Phillip Rivers. Did you hear that Phillip Rivers supposed?
I saw Phillip Rivers as well
to want to come back. No,
I found it funny. Tom quote tweeted that report.
Did you see his? Did you see his defense is the weakest defense ever, saying he doesn't have time because he bought his daughter a cat or something? It's like,
I saw that
here.
I mean,
would you be excited? Would you be excited for Tom Brady, Jake?
Oh, 100%. If it's Tom Brady, I mean,
oh my God, I don't have the enthusiasm that Kevin has right now.
Tom Brady would take this team to the Super Bowl.
Really?
He has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, a good offensive line. Defense I think now that
you said Tyreek Hill, I went, Look, a healthy Tua. Look, I've been a Tua supporter since the day he was drafted. He can do it if he stays healthy. He can do it. He can do it. I have no doubt in my mind he can do it.
I like your positivity. Skylar Thompson almost beat the Bills in the playoffs.
That was impressive.
This close.
Yeah.
He was
one more stupid decision by the Bills away from doing it.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is where we're going to wrap it up, right?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
I just want to say, how confident do you feel about the Dolphins next season? Do you see them? I feel like across the board we see them running it back in the playoffs, but do you see them actually making some noise?
I mean, it all comes down to health, right?
Right.
Like and almost like. And it sounds bad because like Teddy Bridgewater's a Miami guy, and he was so excited to play for the Dolphins, and things didn't work out there. But like, you need to have a better backup plan. Like in the event that, God forbid, Tua gets hurt again, and you hope that doesn't happen, you need to have a better backup plan if Tua is going to be the guy. So we'll see. I mean, because they could get someone like Jameis Winston to be a backup, right? Like Carson Wentz is out there saying, "Oh God, not Mike White."
Mike White. I'm being optimistic. What can I say, dude?
You don't want Mike White to be your backup. Get out
Mike White is not a good backup option, my friend.
I think he's from down here, right?
Though.
Is he? I don't know that.
Is he from down here?
Jake, this is your specialty.
Where is he from?
Who are we talking about? Jameis Winston?
Mike White.
He went to UCF, I think.
Yeah.
Where did he go to high school?
Oh God, we gotta look this up. I was not ready to have a conversation about Mike White.
He's from Pembroke Pines.
Florida boy.
Yeah, he's from down here.
What does that mean? Lamar's a Florida boy, but we're not signing him.
No, it'll be happy. Oh, look, a local guy is down here, but like, Mike White.
Wasn't there a local guy who they did a whole segment on? They did this whole segment on this guy, Brandon Doty, I think was his name. He was like some backup quarterback for the Dolphins. They did a whole segment on him, how he dreamed of playing for the Dolphins with the damn Marino. You remember him, Jake? He played in the preseason, and then he got cut.
The name sounds a little familiar, but again,
it was like right before that Tannehill era ended.
Do you? I just had a thought, and it just as soon as we started talking about Mike White, it was like, oh, Mike White, and then
I can't believe that's what excited you about a potential backup is Mike White.
I mean, I'm not even opposed to having Skylar Thompson be.
Oh, shut up!
In the conversation,
don't do that, please. No,
Aaron Rodgers.
There you go.
As a backup, we were talking about backup.
Crazy fucking starter. Have Tua backup.
Aaron Rodgers would be a good backup, though.
Is that an instant Super Bowl?
I think it'd be all right.
Aaron Rodgers
would be a pretty mad backup, I think.
Is that an instant Super Bowl though? You bring in Rodgers?
Yeah.
If you could get Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, which one would you choose?
Brady.
Probably. Oh no.
Brady. I hated Tom Brady.
I think I'll go with Rodgers. I mean, come on.
Who would you choose, Billy?
I don't know, because like, I don't know. I mean, either would be good. The weird thing is like I feel like the Jets are just a quarterback away too, right? So
yeah.
The AFC East is going to be really competitive.
They were they were trying to go for Carr, but now Carr's a saint.
I mean they're flirting with Aaron. Like they have people in Green Bay talking to him. Like that seems.
It's a scary thought, right? It's a scary thought.
Yeah, because they're going to be good if they get a quarterback, and the Bills obviously are good. The Patriots are like,
What they're kind of in no man's land right now.
Yeah.
If they bring a nice quarterback in, maybe, but because I'm not a big Mac Jones believer.
Yeah. I am not either.
All right, I think this is where we end it, right, Jake?
We talked everything except Panthers. If you guys have any Panthers thoughts, I have none.
Panthers is an FIU or the hockey team?
No, the hockey team.
I mean, I'm covering the Panthers. I mean, they're playing right now. Last I checked, they were beating the Golden Knights.
That's a fun game.
I've been very skeptic of Paul Maurice his entire tenure with the Panthers so far, and he's had his ups, he's had plenty of downs. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're only a few points away from the playoffs. So
it's been a disappointing year for them.
Yeah, I would say so, especially like some of the players that you thought would shine. I think Barkov has played good, but Ekblad is just I think he's let the team down. And granted, Tkachuk, I love Tkachuk. I think that in retrospect, Florida easily won that trade, sending Huberdeau to Calgary, bringing in Tkachuk. I think Tkachuk's going to be, if he continues playing how he is, he's going to literally become one of the greatest Panthers to play if he continues the way he's going. I'm covering the Florida Panthers for Lemon City Live, but I'll keep my thoughts on them brief because when you get down to the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's when things get really, really real, right? The Florida Panthers this regular season, good, but not as good as you thought they would be, considering that they won the President's Trophy last year, right? It is,
but that didn't end up mattering. You know what I mean? Like it's cool that they won, but
they got smoked by Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so they can have a bad
Tampa?
regular season and get to the playoffs.
They beat Washington in the first round, then got smoked by Tampa in the second.
They beat Tampa almost every time this year, though.
No, they always tend to do well in the regular season, but then I mean, when you have a team that with that much postseason experience in the Lightning, obviously they're against a team like Florida, who won their first playoff series last year since the freaking 90s. Then I mean, I'll be at the Panthers game. I want to say this upcoming Saturday when they take on Winnipeg. But Billy,
now we have to touch up. Now we have to touch up on the Heat. We're talking.
We got to go all four corners. All right, I see. Okay.
What are your thoughts?
What are you doing here?
I need your Miami Heat thoughts.
It's been another the Heat have had a disappointing season.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it at that. All right, Jake.
We'll leave it at that. Okay.
I don't want to talk about such a bad team.
We just talked about the Marlins.
though.
Yeah, but the Marlins give me hope.
I love that we were on the same page, Billy.
Yeah. Kevin Love will fix it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the other guy, who's the other guy that got Kevin Love and the other dude?
Cody Zeller?
Yeah.
Zeller.
He's been all right though. He's been pretty good somehow.
The only thing I'll say about the Miami Heat, because I haven't been watching them as much as I would have loved to, because I mean, damn, I love Jimmy. I hope after this season he doesn't give up on the team, because he said that he wants to play for a championship team, and I can barely see the Miami Heat squeezing by after the play-in the way things are going. I don't know. There's still I guess enough time for them to turn the season around, but who's going to step up for that team when they didn't get the big time player that they needed? So I don't know.
Kevin Durant?
It's too late for that.
I know. Unfortunate.
This dude just said Billy Gil is such a god.
That's my other co-host. We're Fish Reps Unfiltered. We had Joe Forsaro on.
Does
So
Isaac
that-
own one hat, or does he have multiple hats that he wears backwards?
Isaac owns multiple hats, but he owns the same color shirts.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's
So
always
he has like a look like a cartoon character. Not that he looks like a cartoon character, but like in a cartoon where they're always wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I
Kevin,
mean?
look at that. Look at that, Kevin. How about
I
that?
apologize to
fish
you,
stripes
Isaac. I'm
bunnies?
sorry. I didn't mean that.
He said, "What do you think about the lame?" I think he meant Lamar, the Lamar situation. There is no Lamar situation. What are you talking about?
Did you guys see that video of Adam Schefter pranking these two kids on a podcast that Lamar's going to the Commanders?
Yeah, I'm part of it.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it on Twitter. I was like, I'm like confused. It's not April 1st.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. All right, Jake, wrap it up for us.
Alrighty, Billy. It's been super fun having you on the show. I know we promised an hour, and we're just cracking up at an hour 30. But again, we can't thank you enough for just to talk about some FIU, whatnot, and some Dan LeBatard show lore that we ourselves found out quite a bit today. And again, thank you so much, Billy.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and so I speak for Kevin. Kevin, you did a great job hosting today. I speak for yourself and myself when I say good night, everybody. To everyone who's watched this on either Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, have a great night. And as always, paws up.